I'm going to go through all of these programs and products from the big name companies, the ones that you hear about frequently, and I'm going to break down, what they're actually offering and also how they're different from each other and what each company does best, because almost every single one of these companies does something pretty exceptional that the others do not do. But because I understand not everybody has that time, if you want a summary, then check the timestamps below and you can just go and skip towards the end of the video and you get a big 10,000 foot view summary of what these programs and these products are to decide whether or not one of them is for you. Black Friday is officially here, which is a pretty big deal if you are a pre-med trying to study for the MCAT for two reasons. One is that it's kind of time to get your crap together and figure out how you're going to study for the MCAT. Just because of the way that the admission cycle rolls, most people want to figure out and have purchased and ready how they're going to study for the MCAT, and at the very least start in the middle or the end of January so they can test sometime in the summer. The second reason that this is a big week for pre-meds is because studying for the MCAT's expensive. If you can get out of studying for the MCAT for under $1,500 or $1,000, that's usually pretty stinking cheap for most people. So anytime you can take advantage of sales like this week, you really should. Now, while this video is initially meant to be geared towards Black Friday sales, I'm gonna do my best to make sure that it's a thorough video so that if any of you are watching this and it's past Black Friday and you're just like, I'm just confused about all these different programs and products, I wish somebody would summarize it. It's my goal to make sure that this video can serve both of those purposes. So with that in mind, I'm going to go through all these programs and products from the big name companies, the ones that you hear about frequently, and I'm going to break down, what they're actually offering and also how they're different from each other and what each company does best, because almost every single one of these companies does something pretty exceptional that the others do not do. But because I understand not everybody has that time, if you want a summary, then check the timestamps below and you can just go and skip towards the end of the video and you get a big 10,000 foot view summary of what these programs and these products are to decide whether or not one of them is for you. If you don't know who I am, you're not missing too much, but my name is John and I have been an MCAT tutor for about half a decade, and I post YouTube videos in hopes that people watching them can pull some experience and some expertise and apply it towards their own MCAT so that things like money and these $6,000 courses that we're about to take a look at do not keep them out of medical school. I know everybody watching this video is trying to be a doctor, so they are the altruistic type of person, so I know that you will pay this back to somebody else whenever you're in the situation that I am. Now, the last disclaimer I have here is that I have worked for a couple of these companies we're going to talk about, and I've also been consulted by a couple others. And lastly, one of the products that I'm going to show you is one that I actually own. Now, I will be very careful and I will tell you whenever I receive a financial kickback from your purchase, but there's only one product that I actually get anything back from financially, but I will be sure to let you know just to be fully transparent with you all. And that way you can rest assured that if I give a recommendation about another company, it's because I actually think they do a good job at it. So let's jump in. There are three different types of MCAT product that you're going to be looking to purchase, and they're going to be in three different tiers. The first one's going to be a full service MCAT program. The second one's going to be self-studying, which is the most popular way that people frequently study. And then the last one's just going to be what I call supplemental materials. And I'm going to break down each of these individually. But we're going to start with full service programs because they include everything that supplemental and self-studying programs include, but they also include more. Your average full service MCAT program is going to include four things. It's going to include content. It's going to include practice exams and passages. It's also going to include some kind of classroom sessions where you'll either learn sciences from an MCAT tutor, or you'll learn some kind of strategy, or maybe you'll do some practice passages live, like through Zoom. And then lastly, it's going to include some kind of one-on-one private tutoring with an MCAT tutor. When we're talking about a self-study program, there's really two main types that most companies provide. You have the characteristic self-study program, which just comes with your books and maybe some video lectures, as well as your practice materials. So it just comes with two things. And then you have more of these like upgraded programs, which a lot of people will refer to as like on-demand or like these elite programs. And I'll be sure to point them out as we go through them. And they include your content, your practice materials, as well as some like pre-recorded, or not pre-recorded, some live classroom sessions. So they'll include everything except for the one-on-one private tutoring. Now, obviously the prices will vary, with the full service packages being the most expensive. I think the average price we're going to look at today is probably somewhere between like the $3,000 to $7,000 range. The self-studying programs, the ones that come with the classroom sessions, are usually $1,500 to $2,500. If you're self-studying with books and practice materials, you're probably going to spend around $500, although I will show you one that's completely free. And if you're looking at supplemental programs or supplemental materials, you'll probably spend in the neighborhood of $250 to $600 or $700. So with that big overview in mind, and now that we have a good understanding of what a full service MCAT program looks like, let's take a look at some specifics. So let's start with the biggest name in the business, Kaplan. We've all probably heard of them. You've probably got some friends that have used their books that study with Kaplan in some form or fashion. You come to their website, captest.com/MCAT, and they've got all their Black Friday sales listed here. That's what these slashes are. You see that they're not quite as aggressive with their
discounts as a lot of people are. But let's compare this full service program here, this MCAT tutoring plus the live online course. What we're going to end up seeing is that it's pretty much a standard full service MCAT course. So we'll look at the MCAT tutoring instead of the premium. I looked into the premium. It seems like just what you get is you get an MCAT tutor that scored higher. You get this 515 plus guarantee, which I'll talk about all guarantees later at the end. They're not what they sound like. So we'll look at this standard MCAT tutoring plus a live online course. It comes with all the standards. So you've got your tutoring. You're going to get some content. You're going to get some practice questions, and then you're going to get some classroom sessions. And they'll split that up in several different ways, but this is a fairly straightforward MCAT full service program. You're getting the big 4 pillars, and then they'll allow you to get varying levels of private tutoring if you're willing to pay. Next, we'll go to Blueprint. Blueprint Prep used to be called Next Step. They're probably one of the more popular MCAT companies that I see now, especially for students that are self-studying. But because we're not looking at that, let's take a look at what one of their personal tutoring courses would offer. So their Black Friday deals, 15% all of these personal tutoring packages, and you're going to see that it's going to come with all of those big 4 columns that we were talking about, those 4 tenets. So we've got tutoring, group lectures, or some kind of classroom session. All of this is going to end up being practice materials, right? And then you've got a lot of content here. So content including customizable flashcards. Blueprint does a really good job, in my opinion, of making organization a little bit easier for students, and they also do a good job of presenting it in like a palatable fashion. So their prices, again, varies on how many tutoring sessions you end up getting, but they're here. You can see them struck out a little bit for this Black Friday. So as we scroll through here, you're going to get this core plan, which is basically just you get tutoring plus you get the content. This premium plan is you're going to get a tutor that's scored a 520 or higher, plus you get their self-paced stuff, and then you get this 515 plus guarantee, and you're going to get all the above, plus you're going to get the classroom sessions, and you're going to get a 515 guarantee, which again, we're going to talk about, because you'll notice all of these have a little star at the end of them. So I'll give my big spiel on what that star means and how it's not very helpful for students usually. So for the mid-tier course, mid-tier tutoring session package with Blueprint, it looks like the price is around $6,000, which is pretty on par with most of these companies you'll see. The next full service course that we'll look at is the Princeton Reviews, and this is probably the one that I've had the least amount of students take, so I have the least experience with this one, but I've definitely seen the most YouTube ads for this one. I was looking through their website, and they have it structured a little bit different than all the other companies. Instead of charging you one giant price, instead of saying $6,000 for you get basically our top-of-the-line self-study package plus tutoring, what they end up doing is they just sell them separately. And this is a theme that you'll see throughout all these programs. Is there's a lot of upselling, meaning they're going to try to sell you into their practice tests, or they're going to try to sell you into their self-studying package and program, and then you're going to get phone calls and email blitzes all the time trying to get you to buy tutoring at $200, $300, $400 an hour. So let's look at their 515 plus course, because that's pretty much the guarantee that everybody else has been offering. So you get this guarantee, again, with this little asterisk, and then they're going to give you all your online resources, so you're getting your content, you're getting your practice materials, and then you're going to end up getting live instruction, which is just classroom sessions. So all of this is pretty much straightforward classroom sessions, content, your practice materials, and then you have to get your tutoring separately. It starts at $175 per hour if you want 60 hours of instruction, which is way more than any of you will need, more than likely. But if you only want 10 hours of instruction, good deal. You can get that for $3,300. So keep in mind, if you're wanting to add on tutoring on top of this, just trying to make these programs equal in your mind, then you're going to have to do the math and calculate in how much the additional tutoring would cost you if you want one-on-one tutoring. They do have their Black Friday deals kind of listed up top, so it's $900 off. I'm not sure if that $900 applies to every program or every course that they have, but still $900 is a lot of money. Next, we'll talk about Altius Test Prep. Their Black Friday deals are a little bit more difficult, so make sure that you go to this URL. It's not quite as easy to get to them unless you get like the email marketing that I am for some reason still signed up for all of these companies. But their comparable program to what we've been talking about are these medals, so silver, gold, and platinum, include one-on-one tutoring. They don't have too much more of an explanation, but I've had a lot of students that went through Altius, and it's essentially the same thing. So you're going to be getting private tutoring. This one comes with 25 tutoring sessions. You're going to be getting classroom sessions where, again, we're studying either some kind of strategy approach, or maybe they're teaching you some science. You're going to get your practice materials, questions, Q banks, full-length exams, and you're also going to get your content. Now, most of these programs and most of these companies offer video lectures for their content. Notably, Altius does not do that. Altius does not include video lectures for their content. So if that's something that's important to you, then be wary. Altius does not offer it. Again, I'll do a thorough review of the things that I like that each third-party company does well at the end of this full service section. Next, we'll talk about Jack Weston, which is probably the most confusing of the companies as far as their website and their course layout. They have several different MCAT courses that you can register for, but none of these directly come with tutoring sessions. They have this, which is at the very top. You can see me highlighting. It's basically a call for you to, or a push for you to meet with a sales rep, which almost always means that there's no set sale. It's just the sales rep has a lowest price that they can sell it to you for anytime during the year. Sometimes that gets a little bit lower as you get around times like this, and they just pretty much try to meet with you and see how much they can get from you for their services. If you want tutoring through Jack Weston, they sell it in these packages, but again, you notice that you don't actually see a direct price, which usually means, again, they're going to try to meet with you and they're going to try to bargain with you. And if you say, I've only got $100 per hour, then they're going to put you with like a junior tutor. But if you wanted somebody that had experience like I do tutoring, then they would probably charge somewhere like $500 an hour is the number that I've heard thrown out. Yeah, so we can click this, and this is their, oh, I guess they do have Cyber Monday sale. So we follow this link and we get to Jack Weston's actual Cyber Monday sale. Scroll a little bit further down, you see that they have their courses on sale. So their courses are going to be mostly content, practice materials, and then some classroom sessions. Jack Weston actually offers a lot of their content for free, though. But even just reading through this, you can see that they've got lectures, so classroom sessions, strategy sessions, classroom type session. You follow their tutoring special pricing a little bit more, and you see that it's 15% off for their tutoring sessions. So if you want 45 sessions, you can save $1,000, but it's going to cost you $6,000. As annoying and intimidating as it is to talk to a salesman, I do recommend, if you decide you want to do one of these programs, it's probably best for you to actually reach out to one of their salesmen and see if they can hook you up, because this price right here is not the cheapest you could get this for. I'm confident if you called them and you said, hey, I want 45 sessions, I've only got $5,000, and I need the MCAT course too, then they're going to work with you. You'll probably be able to get all of that. So just keep that in mind with these big companies. $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 sales do not come easy, and so if you are calling, you're saying, I have the money, but I want the world for it, and a lot of times they'll give it to you.
Now, each of these companies has their own strengths and they have their own products that they do really well, and I'll actually go through and lay out what I like the best about each of these companies and what I think that they do the best. We'll start with Kaplan. I think Kaplan has the best book set. It's very thorough. There are not a lot of typos, which is a complaint that you'll hear about from Blueprints and Altius's. You'll hear a lot of complaint about Altius's book not being thorough enough or not explaining topics. So Kaplan's, their end of chapter questions I don't love, but as far as the actual content within the book, I think Kaplan does the best job, although Blueprints is a tad bit more readable. They do have those typos that you'll see about and hear about on Reddit, and I have seen in the actual hard copy of the book as well. Blueprint, what I think they excel at is they do a good job of making the organization of your study calendar look very appealing, and the way that they have it structured, it makes it very easy and kind of adaptable to your life. And they sell a lot of self-study programs based off of that, and those are programs that we'll look at here in just a second. They also do a good job of maintaining like an aesthetic culture, so it's a lot easier to look at than a lot of the programs that you'll see. I do not have a ton of experience with the Princeton Review. I've seen a million of their YouTube ads, but I don't have enough experience with them to say something good or bad about them. And then Altius, in my opinion, Altius probably has the best third-party exams. If I have an individual student and they're curious about what practice test to take, I'm going to have them take the WMCs. Those are the best. And then I'm going to recommend Altius and UWorld as the other two third-party resources that have good WMC questions. I don't love Altius's cars section. And I may or may not have had students skip their cars section entirely and just take the sciences. But their sciences are great. They look very similar to the MCAT. They did a good job nailing down the logic as well as some of the material. Altius will harp on things like buoyancy, that I don't think are very high yield on the real MCAT, but regardless, the reasoning, which is really the important part of taking practice tests, Altius does a good job of nailing that down. So that's what Altius does really well. And then Jack Weston has done a great job creating a bunch of free resources. And they've also made a name for themselves in the realm of cars. They teach cars in a very stepwise approach, the way that we teach cars. So I obviously like that. Having a method to the madness is important in something as confusing and convoluted as cars on the MCAT. So that's what I think Jack Weston does best. So that's what I like about each individual company. You can kind of see which one of those was most important to you and resonated with you. But if you were thinking, you know, like I was thinking as a student, like there's no shot I can afford some of these $6,000, $7,000, $5,000, $4,000 courses. I'm just gonna have to self-study. Then that's what we're about to talk about next. So let's take a look at some self-studying approaches.
So if you're starting to think that all of the full service programs look pretty much identical, then I would agree with you that you're right. You're really gonna be shocked when we look at all the self-study programs because they are virtually the exact same thing. So you're just going to be getting some form or fashion of classroom sessions. If you get a higher tier package, if you get a lower tier package, then you're going to get content and practice exams. So they're all going to have content and practice exams. If you get a higher tier package, like one of these like live online courses, or I think Altius calls theirs the elite course, then it's going to end up coming with like live videos. But everything else for the most part is going to be content and practice exams. So you can see here, Kaplan's is around $1,800. Blueprints, and you can see everything they have, but you'll see as you read through it, it's pretty much just going to be content, practice exams, and then Blueprint does what they do best, which is probably make life a little bit more aesthetic. They have some of those little flair things. Princeton's is the same way. For 6 months you get for $1,000. Again, books, practice exams, practice videos or content videos. 6 months for Blueprints is $15. It's $18 for Kaplan's, $15 for Blueprints. Princeton's is $1,100, so that seems to be the cheapest one. Looks like you can get that for $500 off with, oh no, that is with the $500 off Black Friday. Okay, so that is their Black Friday sale. Altius's is by far the cheapest, $500. Notably though, all Altius's comes with is practice exams, which I mentioned previously are my favorite third-party practice exams, at least their sciences are. And then it also comes with a book. So like I mentioned earlier, their book is their book is the weakest of all the competitors, and they do not include content lecturers. So you will be encouraged by Altius to do a lot of your content consumption online. And then Jack Weston, we've already talked about their courses. So that's the pricing for all the self-study courses. They are all pretty much the same, and that's not a bad thing. You can't change the sciences. The sciences are the sciences. And that's why I think, especially if budget is something you're interested in and you want to try tackling this yourself, you should look at IFD's new free MCAT program. Let's take a look. So once you sign up for the program, you'll click through week 0 and you'll go through our full setup process. So week 0 is not where you get into any content. Week 0 is where you're focused on getting all the crap out of the way. But this video is not about how to actually follow this properly. This video is just to show that it is an option, and if budget is something that you are very mindful of, or if you just don't really know what you want to do and you want to just go ahead and dip your toe into the pool that is MCAT studying without a financial investment, this is a great way to do it. We've got all the content. It's organized by Khan Academy video. Each link takes you directly there. We also have practice passages. For the WMC materials, you have WMC reviews by either myself or Maggie, the other professional tutor on this channel. We also have some Khan Academy passages if you are interested in free passages, but also we have ways for you to work around that if you have other resources that you would like to use. So we finish it off with strategy videos because that's kind of our shtick, is that we love strategies. But this is a 6 month. This is a typo. This is a 6 month program that can be shrunk and truncated. You can do this in 3 months if you want to. But all you would have to do is just do weeks 1 and 2 in 1 week, and then on your second week do weeks 3 and 4. Third week, weeks 5 and 6. So that's how that would work. If you want to speed it up, just do it a little bit faster. You will not hurt anything. Again, this is a program that I own. However, I do not make any money from this. As you can see, this is completely free. So definitely a great route to pursue if you're interested in keeping budget in mind.
So you can see from that brief overview that not only is every company fairly similar in their approach to self-studying, but also every company is fairly similar in their pricing model as well. The last thing that we're going to talk about is my favorite section, and it's the one that if you could only watch one section of this video, I think this would be the section, and that is the supplemental material section of this video. So in this video, we're going to talk about IFD's all new high yield MCAT eCourse and all the things that it contains. This is one thing I'm super excited about. Maggie and I have been working for literally years trying to get this together and craft it and make it perfect. We put in hundreds of hours of writing and editing and filming and thousands of dollars of getting people to help us out. And none of that would be possible if it wasn't for you all. So I want to thank you so much for watching the videos, liking the videos, purchasing the ebooks so that we could have enough money to get some help in scenarios like this to try to continue to make these resources a little bit more affordable, a little bit more accessible, and a little bit more entertaining, because becoming a doctor is a long stinking road. And if you don't have fun along the way, it's gonna be miserable. So thank you so much for making that possible. And we are about to show you in this next section just what all comes in that new IFD High Yield eCourse. But first, let's talk about UWorld.
For the supplemental section, I've got 2 resources that are not on sale, but they are just so stinking good that I'm going to have to mention them on here. The first is UWorld. UWorld is just a question bank, but it is probably some of the best questions that you can find, some of the ones that are most like the real MCAT, with the exception of the AAMC practice materials, which we'll talk about next. What really makes UWorld stand out, though, is their explanations. They have excellent explanations. They have really good figures and diagrams that kind of walk you through the sciences. And then what they do best, in my opinion, is they do a great job of showing you when the incorrect answer choices would be correct in different scenarios, which is really helpful, because then instead of having to take 4 separate questions to learn it, you can just take 1 question and learn 4 different facts. So I really love that UWorld does that, and they include that in their explanation. But they do not frequently run sales. I don't know that I've ever seen them run a sale, and this is Black Friday, and they're not offering one. But what you're looking at now is their pricing system. So 90-day access, $299, 180-day access, $350. Now everybody should do their free access. Just 100 questions, run through them in 7 days, and see how you perform on them, especially during your final month if you want to study through IFD's free MCAT program. Take advantage of all those free resources. The next company that also doesn't offer a discount is going to be the AAMC themselves. This is the company that actually writes the real MCAT, so their question is going to be the most realistic. While I'm pretty flexible with my students on which practice resources they want to use, I make every single one of them take all 6 of the AAMC exams and both of the CARS Q packs. I don't super love all of the other science question packs like the biology and the chemistry and things of that nature. They feel a tad bit outdated. But the CARS Q packs and all 6 of the AAMC's exams, practice exams, you got to take those. Those are instrumental to your prep. And lastly, this official guide for the MCAT, you can get the questions for it for just $10, and they're pretty solid questions. Definitely worth $10. Last but not least, I want to show you the program that I am most excited about, and that is IFD's new High Yield MCAT eCourse. Let's take a look at what we are offering, and heads up, here's my disclaimer. This is the one where I do get a cut of whatever sales that we make. So what's included in this High Yield MCAT course? If you watched any of my videos, any of our videos, you know that I am just an absolute stickler for only spending time on the things that are going to yield an improvement to my score. And what I've seen over the hundreds of students that I've had is that students tend to do a lot better whenever they just take a ton of practice questions. But to get to those practice questions, you have to have some baseline knowledge. And that baseline knowledge is pretty much what we have compiled as the high yield sciences. Now, that's not actually how we came up with which sciences were high yield and mid yield. We came up with those by polling MCAT tutors that have had over a decade of experience. There's like 7 or 8 MCAT attempts in between all of us, and we sat down and we ranked which of these sciences and all these test prep books, which of these sciences have we seen on every single MCAT, and have we heard from students that are taking the MCAT that they saw. We compiled all those into a High Yield MCAT Sciences ebook, and previously, if you've read our old ebook, you know that one is very high yield. That's only stuff that you'll see on every single exam. But with this new expanded edition of the High Yield Sciences ebook, we went from the high yield and some of the mid yield topics as well. And we also taught all of these topics in examples, and we tried to weave in the frequent ways that even some of these mid and low yield topics were tested within the examples. So that even if we're not specifically teaching on a subject, you still get to learn it in its proper context, which I think is equally as important as reading about the theory of a molecule or the theory of a science. We also have video lectures walking through all of these sciences taught by myself and Maggie. And if you've seen our teaching style, you know that we make sure to teach in very digestible terms, very low reading level in all honesty. We use some humor and we use examples to make them stick, but we also use examples because that's how it's tested on the MCAT. And I don't care if you know the science, I just know if you can get the MCAT question correct. We include practice questions that correspond to each chapter, so end of chapter questions, and we're going to be rolling out more of those as time comes on. You know that I love me some practice questions, and so we're going to be rolling some out to make sure that at the end of each chapter you actually understood what you read. We're also going to include our MCAT math ebook so that you can see the top ways that math is frequently tested on the MCAT, and we're going to include videos that show you how to solve those math problems and make those proper roundings and guesstimations that you need to answer these questions quickly. This also comes with a full equation sheet, which is important to me because I was always nervous about like what happens if I get on the MCAT and they just have some equation that I've never heard of and I have no shot to get it correct. We make sure that that doesn't happen by including a full equation sheet. IFD is all about strategies. We try to write down what it's like to think like a good test taker and how you can become one if you're not one. And we put these into our MCAT strategy ebook so that everybody can have a stepwise thought process as they're going through each individual passage in question. We have video lectures breaking these down, which are very similar to the ones that are on YouTube right now. So don't feel like you do not have access to these MCAT strategies. They are on YouTube right now. We also include an Anki mini course in this, which is where I'm going to walk you through how to set up Anki and how to get quick at using it so that it doesn't take you all day to do your Anki once you get good at it, and also so it doesn't take you a week and a half to get to where you're proficient at it. Anki is a great tool to have in your arsenal, but it can be really distracting at times. And it can also take up a whole lot of time to make those cards, which is why we're going to provide you with a pre-made Anki deck that relate to our guides so that you don't have to waste time going back and filling those out unless you just feel the need to. If you feel led by the Spirit, then be my guest, make your own card. But if you're like me and you just want to save time and make sure that you got the highlights, this Anki deck's great for you. And then lastly, we can't say that we decided to make a course with the students in mind without actually valuing the students as people rather than just their MCAT scores. But that's something that's really, really hard to do in the form of an eCourse or even as a tutor or a friend. And so what we decided to do was sit down, Maggie and I, and have discussions about all the things that make studying for the MCAT difficult, because it's not just the sciences and it's not just learning to do the flowchart method or simplify the question. It's all the things around it that make life hard. So I told you at the beginning that if you are a person that is cramming or busy or has to retake the test, this is the program for you. And I think this is one of the main reasons why, because we tell you how to balance your life, including time management, relationships, physical and your mental health as you're going through this process. That's the IFD High Yield course. This course until the end of Cyber Monday is not $4.99. I'll include a discount code at the end of this video that will make this $2.99, which does make it cheap enough to where even if you have some of the other programs, this is an excellent adjunct, an excellent supplement onto your existing MCAT program. So never feel like you have to do just UWorld or just Kaplan or just Altius or just IFD. Feel free to mix and match these, because at the end of the day, this is your MCAT. This is your future, and it's very important that you get in this year if you can. Every year that you're not in, I hate to say it, but every year that you're not in is a year off of or a year away from an attending salary. So whatever investments you need to make sure that you can get there, that you can get that white coat, I recommend them. I highly encourage them. And I did them myself, whether that be going with one of these other companies that we've talked about today, or whether that just be taking time off from work, or whether that be investing in the IFD High Yield MCAT eCourse or one of our other products. Now, of course, I would love for you to invest in the High Yield MCAT eCourse through IFD, but whatever you need and whatever you do, we will still be here on YouTube offering you support at zero cost, trying to make the mission and the dream of becoming a doctor and caring for those that you love and those that you don't even know accessible to everyone, not just those that have the money to purchase one of these $6,000 or $7,000 courses that we looked at today. So lastly, let's talk about these 515 plus guarantees. Basically every company offers one. Altius does the 90th percentile guarantee, but I mean, at least when I took the MCAT, that's what a 515 was. So all these companies are offering the same thing, and pretty much they all have the similar requirements. And the requirement is that you got to do everything that they say. And if you do everything that they say, then they will do one of two things. They will either refund your money, which you can see here, or they will offer you free enrollment or free re-enrollment. Now, maybe that is what everybody's looking for, what they thought of when they heard 515 plus guarantee, but that's not what would be important to me as a student. I like the money back portion of it because that does show investment by the company, but the free re-enrollment is not attractive to me because the term of this is that I have to do everything that you say. That means that to qualify for this, I just did everything that you said for several months, and so it's just not attractive to me that I can do everything that you say for several months and then I don't get my score, but you're going to let me redo the thing that I just did that didn't work for me for free. It's not something that's very attractive to me, but the money back guarantee is something that stands out to me as pretty attractive. And I think that most of these companies do this as far as Kaplan, Blueprint, and Princeton. I believe they all offer that. I've never heard of anybody getting their money back from Altius for not reaching their 90th percentile. Altius, to my understanding, usually just lets people retake their course. But keep in mind, with all of these, even if you purchase tutoring, Retaking the course does not mean that you get additional tutoring sessions. It just means that they're going to extend your access to their online materials, and they'll probably let you to come to some more of those like live Zoom classroom sessions. So 515 guarantee does not guarantee you a 515 score. It just means that you'll get your money back if you don't get it.
The big takeaway from this video is that there's 3 types of MCAT materials you're going to be purchasing. You've got your full service courses, which come with tutoring, classroom sessions, content, and practice materials. To me, the students that do best with this and the students that really need a tutor are the students that either struggle with the reading comprehension portion of the exam, or they need an accountability buddy that they can't find in a community like our Discord channel, or maybe even a friend that they're studying with. The second type of MCAT product is self-studying, and we talked about how it comes in 2 different flavors. One flavor has content and practice materials, and that's the most common way that people study for the MCAT, and the other flavor has content, practice materials, and those live classroom sessions. And the last category of MCAT products you're going to be looking at are the supplemental materials. That includes things like question banks like UWorld, WMC materials, and the all-new IFD High Yield eCourse. There does not seem to be a ton of difference between each individual company, and I've had students from every single company come to me for tutoring after they finished up one of these expensive courses at all the other programs. So it's important to remember that those 515 guarantees, they're really just kind of protecting your financial investment, and they're not necessarily guaranteeing you an actual score. And the only person that can guarantee you a good MCAT score is yourself by putting in the time. Now, the sad truth of that is that time for some people may be 400 hours of studying, and for others it may be 1,000 hours of studying. But regardless, now you know all of the options for how you can shortcut that process, and you can take some time and thought and prayer and figure out which of these options is going to be best for you. Thank you for watching this video. If you are from other companies watching this video, I hope that I fairly represented your product. And if you are a student watching this video who has taken one of these products, then let us know below what you think and what your experience was like. Remember, one person's experience will not be yours, and your success will be dependent upon how hard you work. If you're looking for a way to support what Maggie and I are doing at IFD, I'm really interested in trying to grow this channel. So please subscribe to the channel. Please share it with your friends. That's something that's very important to me, is increasing the amount of people that we can help for free. If you're looking for a financial way to help us out, and you're not comfortable posting us on Instagram or something like that, then check out this High Yield MCAT eCourse. I know it'll help you. Even if you have one of these other products, the eCourse is on sale for $299 right now for Black Friday. I know that it will help you. But regardless, I appreciate you watching the video. Check out the links in the descriptions for more of the crap that Maggie and I are up to. And if you want to follow us through medical school, then jump in the Discord channel and we will chat and walk you through that as well. I'll see you in the next one.